Today, let's talk about what religions got right in a world that thinks that religion is dumb. Hello and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Abby, and here we talk about common sense commentary, where we talk about things that I think are just common sense, but in today's day and age are considered controversial. So it was just recently the holiday of Passover, and I celebrated it with my community, I celebrated it with my family, and it was amazing. It was so beautiful. We had such a wonderful, meaningful holiday. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because it got me to thinking. There are so many things that we do as Orthodox Jews that are good for your humanity. They are good for people. They understand human nature. And we live in a day and age that eschews religion as stupid, thinks that religion is passé. And that is just not the case. The truth is that as an Orthodox Jew, I can say that so many of the practices that seem frustrating or seem outdated are actually perfectly tailored for people. And the religion itself understands how humans work. And I'm tired of the narrative that religion is boring, it's out of touch, or even that it's just not worth your time. So today I want to share 5 things that I think Orthodox Judaism specifically gets right, and maybe you can incorporate some of these ideas into your day-to-day just because it makes sense. It's good for people, it's good for you. So let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is something called a Minyan. In Judaism, in Orthodox Judaism, there are certain prayer services that we cannot do unless there is a group of 10 men present. So we often source 10 men. We have now made our home a hub for our neighborhood Minyan. And my husband had a beautiful take on this. He was saying that in today's day and age, people often think that we are more connected than ever because of social media, because of our phones, when in fact, most people are lonelier than ever. They can't even name 3 friends that they're close to. And the thing about being an Orthodox Jew is that you need to know at least 9 other men. If you don't know 9 other men, there are a ton of prayers that you can't even participate in. And so it's necessary, it's important that you have 9 other men that you are close enough that you could call on them in an emergency. And that has been absolutely true for us. Throughout the holiday of Passover and now just into Sabbath, we have been able to call on many friends to complete that Minyan, to complete that group of 10. So one of the things I think is so beautiful about Orthodox Judaism is the idea that you have to be connected. You have to have a community. You have to have real life friends. You can't just have your long distance friends. You can't just have your social media friends, which in all honesty doesn't fill your cup in the same way as having a friend in your vicinity does. Having a friend that you could call up on short notice and say, hey, we need you to complete our group so that we can pray to God, is an amazingly beautiful thing and something that we take for granted in today's day and age when we think that friendship can be broader than that, meaning you can think that somebody is your friend who lives 200 miles away, and they are your friend. But people thrive in close-knit communities. People thrive when they have real relationships where you are physically close to one another and also emotionally close enough to call on a dime. I think that that's a really beautiful part of religion that religion gets right. We understand the importance of relationships. The meaning of life is essentially relationships. It's how you interact with other people. It's how you understand the world. If you are living alone, if you have no connections, you are not going to be happy. People are social creatures. There's a reason that we have marriage, children, family structures. That is all part and parcel of how we understand and live in the world. And religion embraces that, encourages that, and unfortunately, I think that's lost to the broader world nowadays, where we don't value those things anymore, and that's why we have so many emotional problems. The second thing I think is so beautiful about Orthodox Judaism and that people could learn from is the concept of not using technology. So every weekend we have Sabbath from Friday night till Saturday night, and we are not supposed to use technology. We're not supposed to use TVs, we're not supposed to use phones. And on Passover, that was even more so the case because we have something called a Yom Tov, a good day. Those are Chagim, holidays. Those are days that are kind of like Sabbath, but slightly less stringent. We're still not allowed to use technology though. And on those days, you're not supposed to be calling anyone. You're not supposed to be texting. You're not supposed to be scrolling. You're not supposed to be watching TV. You just have to be present. And something that is so lacking in today's day and age is being present. We are constantly distracted. We're constantly distracted even when we're in the presence of friends. And that's one of the things, again, that religion understands, is that people need to be in the here and now. We can't always be distracted. We can't always have our mind just able to be pulled away at any moment if we hear our phone buzz, or just watching a movie and zoning out. We need to be with people, or sometimes we just need to have solitude that doesn't involve distraction. And I think that that's one of the most wonderful things about Sabbath. I hear this from Orthodox Jews all the time, how valuable these technology breaks are. So if you aren't Orthodox and you're not observing a technology-free day, consider observing a technology-free day where you send out a text at the beginning of the day to like a blast and you say, hey, I'm off my phone from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. today. I won't be able to be contacted. I'm with my family. I'm with my friends. None of us are going to be checking our phones. Done. Then you put your phone away and you just spend time with the people that you love. Or you take some time by yourself, you go for a walk and you don't bring your phone with you. I think that that is the stuff that we are losing out on as we are constantly tied to our technology. And again, religion understands so well the human mind and the idea that we shouldn't always be tied to our technology. It's a lot better for us if we can put our technology away and live in the moment. The third thing I love about Orthodox Judaism, which also can be annoying when you initially think about it, but then in practice is so incredible, is walkability. So one of the things that is required of Jews on Sabbath is we are not allowed to drive. So we have to be within walking distance, not only of our synagogue, but of everybody else in our community. So essentially, everyone in the community lives within a square mile. The reason that gets annoying is when you're actually looking to buy a house, that square mile is a very hot piece of real estate. Like, it's very hard to find a home within that area because everybody wants a home in that area because they all want to live close to their synagogue and close to their friends. But that's also what makes it absolutely imperative. Having a day where nobody drives, where the kids all walk to each other's houses, where everybody is in walkable distance to each other and isn't driving, is huge. There's a reason that when you watch old shows from the 1950s and everybody's kind of riding their bicycles and there's that village small town feel, that you get this feeling of like warmth and cuddliness. It's because everybody is in their community. They aren't driving off to go do something out of their community that day. Everyone has to be close-knit because you are physically close enough to do so. This is something about Orthodox Judaism that so rocks. It's like the best thing ever is that everyone is so physically close. We can walk to our friends and hang out with their kids. We have a cul-de-sac down near our neighborhood where all of the houses in that area are Jewish homes and all the kids play all afternoon on Saturday. And it is the best. Like, we can just walk over there, bring our kids, all the parents are talking to each other, all the kids are playing. It's such a blessing. As opposed to everybody lives really spread out. I have to make plans to drive to your house, to knock on your door, to make sure that I can come over and not bother you. Everyone expects there to be a knock on the door during Shabbos, during Sabbath. We all expect our friends to come on over and hang out. We invite groups of people over and say, hey, anyone who wants to stop by can stop by because you're in walking distance. It's a game changer. And I think that we have lost the thread on that because driving is so easy and because real estate is so expensive. But when they say location, 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 when it comes to finding a home and why things are worth more, they're right. The location of where your home is more important than the home itself. Our home, I love our house, don't get me wrong, but this was not initially our style, and we would have chosen a different style of house if we really had our druthers. But we wanted to be in this community, in walkable distance to everything, more than we cared about our style of home, and I would not exchange that for the world. I would not rather live in a house that was our style, that was completely distant from everybody we know and love, than be in a house that's like maybe a little bit less our style, but we can hang out with people and our children can hang out with people whenever we want. The fourth thing that religion today gets right, that we have taken for granted as a society, is that having kids is a good thing. We live in a community where the standard is about 4 kids. Like 3 kids is a little bit on the low side and 4 kids is standard. That's just what people think and what people believe, that like you should have a big family. Okay, like everyone agrees that that's normal. When I say that kind of thing on the internet, the responses I get are crazy. People are like, it's too expensive to have children, or why are you trying to overpopulate the world? Or you just don't understand what it's like to have more than 2, and that's why you want 5. It's really frustrating that we live in a day and age that puts the individual ahead of the family and ahead of children. We have this expressive individualism where people think that they are going to find happiness by finding themselves, and everyone is incredibly unhappy because that's not how it works. The meaning that you find in your life is through relationships, right? You are defined by the people who love you and who you love. And having children is an extension of that. It's not just about you and you going out and pursuing your dreams and you're alone and you don't have family and you don't have friends. Are you kidding? If you had your dreams and you had no one alongside you, that would not be success. Having kids is part and parcel of having a happy life. And so I love that religion values children so highly and knows how important it is to raise the next generation and raise the next generation well. Religion gets that having kids is joyful and meaningful and everything you could want out of life. Whereas today, instead of that, we think of children as a burden so that I can't do my normal day-to-day. I can't go to a bar at 8 p.m. and stay out till 1 a.m. and sleep until 10 the next day. Correct, because that's not important. And to be honest, that's fun every once in a while. But if you were only doing that ever, it would not be fun. So I think that religion really gets right how important having children is and how beautiful having children is and how absolutely glorious it is to have a big family. The last thing I wanted to mention is the value that we place on history and that religion generally places on history. Over Passover, we hold a Seder. We actually have 2 Seders outside of Israel, and that's where we sit down and tell the story of leaving Egypt. We tell it to our children. We tell the story of how we were slaves in Egypt and how God redeemed us. And we do this every single year. We all know the story from the time we're little kids. And it's because we know how important our history is. And something we see nowadays is this disdain for history, is the idea that anybody that was before us who did anything different than we do or wrong should be forgotten. We should forget it, as opposed to learn from it and respect those who came before us while also understanding there are things that we can do differently. There's so much value to knowing and discussing your history. And religion does that. Religion encourages us to understand the people who came before us, to learn from the people who came before us, to respect and honor those who came before us, while also saying sometimes people before us, even if they were wise, made mistakes or held beliefs that were standard for the time but are still immoral and unacceptable. And religion reminds us that history is not something to be erased. It's not something to be forgotten. It's something to have in our hearts and move forward with that knowledge. And that's an amazingly beautiful thing that we should all be doing, is looking to history to learn and understand our future, or else history will repeat itself. So that is today's pitch for 5 things we can learn from religion, even if you're not religious. I think that these things are so important and understand human nature at such a deep level. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, and I would love if you would leave down below your favorite spring emoji, because we are definitely into spring. In Florida, it feels like summer, but it's definitely getting close to spring. I would love to see your emoji down below. Thank you so much for watching till the end of today's video. Please make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'll see you guys in my next one.